My body would say, you're going to die. We ended up profiting like $135,000 off our house. I'm in front of 700 people and I am going to pee myself right here, maybe a year and a half, where I had extreme anxiety, where I would have to pull over to the side of the road and would literally shake. He was like, why do you think this house is for sale? And I'm like, I hung up.
This is the Sphere of Influence podcast with your host, truly, Moni. And today, my beautiful guest that I have, her name is Jessica Lauren Vine. Jessica, thank you so much for being here with me. Can you tell me, for the viewers or listeners, depending on where this is going, can you tell me a little bit about you and who you are and what is it that you do?
Yes, I'm going to try to keep it short because I feel like I have lived so many lifetimes in my I want to say short years here, but it's getting longer. So like in my semi short years, like I'm not going through a midlife crisis right now, I promise. Yeah, most important to me, I'm a wife for 16 years. So me and my husband are best friends and business partners. I also have 4 boys. So I've got 9, 11, 15, and 19. So always busy. And then in my spare time, no, I'm kidding. So me and my husband, we actually flip houses. We've been doing that for a year now. And we've got 4 projects that are going on right now, which is not stressful at all. I also in May took a position working at We're the Offer team out of North Carolina. So I work remotely for a wholesale / flipping company and just accepted the position of Chief Growth Officer there. So that's kind of...
Congratulations.
That's me. Thank you.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Can you add anything else to your plate?
Yeah. I also recently lost a ton of weight. Since November, I lost 48 pounds. So
that's amazing.
Yeah,
oh
got
my
a lot
gosh.
to do.
Busy woman. Oh, how do you find the time to juggle it all?
Honestly, I've read every productivity book. I just am like rigorous with my time and planning. Everything is down to a science. We eat at a specific time. We go on date at a specific time. Literally everything is scheduled and it feels amazing.
That is awesome. Hey, that's one way to do it. You know, it's all about being productive. So that's amazing. So tell me, you mentioned you're doing real estate. You have a job. So are you doing the real estate full time or is it part time? How does that work?
Yeah. So I definitely cannot do any handiwork anyway. So I was like, I'm not like everybody assumes I'm like super crafty or can paint things. And I'm like, no, I'm good at putting deals together. So, I'm networking with people. I'm putting deals together. I'm negotiating. Like that's kind of my thing. And then like my husband, like he's making sure all the contractors are doing this and that. So I was like, what am I doing? Like, what am I supposed to be doing all day? And so this gentleman had posted on this mastermind group that he was hiring for an AC manager, which I was like, what is that? Do I manage acquisitions? Do I manage people that are acquiring things? Do I like, what is this? So now I work from like 10 to 6 for him. But like I have, lunch, I'll check and I'll be like, okay, what needs to be done? What decisions need to be made throughout that time? And I don't know. I love working. So it doesn't bother me at all. And I'm learning so much. I'm very much like a growth mindset person. So I love it.
It's funny because I feel like most people leave their 9 to 5 to go into real estate and you're doing it backwards. That's hilarious. But that's awesome.
Yeah.
You have to push yourself. Sometimes we don't push ourselves enough, so it's great that you are seeing that you need to push yourself a little bit more and trying to expand and creating those opportunities for yourself. So that's amazing. So I'm sorry, I
Oh,
cut you
no,
off.
no. I was going to say, so just for that reason that you said, like, I actually had an existential crisis over exactly what you said, because I have been an entrepreneur for like 2 decades. Like, I was like, what paperwork do I fill out to be an employee? I don't know. Like, so like I was super confused, and I was like, I really honestly went back and forth so much. I was like, I'm supposed to be an entrepreneur. It's the cool kid thing to do. And like, I was feeling peer pressure. Like,
Oh,
everybody kept being like, why would you want to work for somebody else? Journey of the broke, just over broke, like golden handcuffs and like all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, y'all are brutal. Like,
right.
it was so funny, because usually it's like the other way around. They're like, your family's going to keep you down. They're not going to want you to have a business and da 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 da. And I'm like, guys, like, you're like reverse doing it to me.
And people are so fast to judge. It's you can't put yourself in a situation of somebody else and judge them, because that's what works for them. That's what makes them happy. So we just have to be accepting of whatever their journey they're taking and just support them in whatever that is, whether it is quitting their 9 to 5 or, starting a new business or going back to work, that it if it doesn't resonate with you, it's okay. Just don't judge it.
Right. Yeah. It was just so funny, because I went to a women's mastermind in Pigeon Forge, which is not too far from here. And it was just all just boss women. I had such a great time. Just everybody's just slaying. And I was just like really going through it. So I was like asking everybody, and they're like, do you need money to start your business? I'm like, no, I really just want to work for them. They're like, you should just start it yourself. I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I don't want to do that. So it's just hilarious. Like my takeaway from that experience was, okay, sometimes you're gonna just know something in your gut that is right for you, and you just got to go for it. And it's like, it was just weird to me, because it's like the traditional thing that I was trying to do, but I'm so surrounded with so many awesome people that are just like boss people that it was like weird to them for me to want to do that. So I was like, I was honestly worried about my cool factor going down. That was literally like, I'm just very transparent. I was like terrified that people are going to be like, oh my God, like she has a job. Oh, like
You're not part of the cool crowd now. That's
I was,
hilarious.
yes, this was a concern. And
So, what drove you to go back to the working force? Like, what is the plan there for you?
yeah, so yeah, exactly. Yeah, that I was like, what am I doing? Why am I going to do this? Because like I said, like I haven't had a 9 to 5 or whatever hour job since I was like a teenager.
Wow.
So like, yeah, I've always been an entrepreneur, and I only worked as like I was like a waitress for a little while and stuff like that, because I tried to like get out. I don't know if you've seen my podcast where I share all of my deep, dark past or not before, but I was trying to get out of those types of things, and to do something a little bit more constructive, because I had a young son, and I wanted to be a good example. Looking at that, I was like, I don't know why I want to do this. And honestly, when I got started, I wasn't sure where I was going. My very dear friend Carolina, who was a partner on one of my flips, she was like, "You're not married to it. Like you can quit if you don't like it." And I'm like, "You're right." So like saying all that to say, like once I got in, I started working with the team. Like these humans aren't anywhere else. This
Mm.
is where this team is. These are the humans that I'm supposed to be spending my time with right now. And like, I don't know. I'm just a people person. If you ask my husband, he's just like, oh my God, like she loves the people. I love to not have the people.
Got it.
So basically, I am right where I'm supposed to be, learning from the people I'm supposed to learn with, helping the people I'm supposed to help with. Cause like I have a team now that I'm leading, and I say leading in quotes because like I feel like we learn from each other.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, like there's no like end game to like get out of it again. I'm becoming like a major part of the company, and like I'm having like profit shares and everything. So it's like I'm taking ownership in the company as far as like my mindset. Maybe technically later we'll talk, Michael. We'll talk.
That's awesome. And so you're still doing the real estate, and you mentioned you've been an entrepreneur for very, very long. What were you doing before you did real estate?
So right before I did real estate, it was like copywriting. So
Okay.
I did a lot of copywriting, SEO, blogging, literally anything to do with marketing. Like that's what I do. If you want people to know about it, I can make people know about it. So that's kind of my jam. I've been the CMO for a boat detailing business, like all kinds of stuff like that.
Awesome. And now with your real estate, you're stepping a little bit back then. I'm guessing your husband is taking care of most of it. What do you do there, and how did that come about?
Yeah. So right now, like since what I'm doing for my work is also in real estate, literally all the networking that I do is feeding both businesses.
Nice.
So it's pretty cool. If I need to find a buyer, I need to find a seller, need to find like whatever it is, it's all working in harmony. So, and I'm also able to learn, how can I flip the house better? How can I be more efficient? Like all those things. So all day I'm just in it, and then I can translate it over to our other business. So it's not like I'm like going to cosmetology school and trying to learn a
Right,
flipping
right.
business, you know? So they hold hands very nicely. Um, but and you will learn about me very quickly. I go off on tangents, and you're just gonna have to reel me right back in because yep. Yep, that's gonna
Oh, that's
happen.
hilarious. Oh, no worries. I know sometimes you start thinking in your mind about something else, and you remember, like, you capture a memory about something. And yeah, I understand. Don't worry. I'm with you, girl. But no, I was asking you, like, so how did you get started? Because you were doing marketing, and how did you like make that transition to real estate?
Yeah, so it was kind of odd because like my husband's always been interested in like, oh, how could we do real estate? And I think it was like 2019, I want to say, that we kind of like Googled like, what does it mean to wholesale a house? And I was like, this doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Like watch some YouTube videos, and I'm like, sounds too easy. It's probably a scam. So I was like, forget about it. And by the way, it's not easy. So it's like,
Definitely
it's
not.
simple, but it's not easy. So like, I was just like, I can't figure it out. I don't know what I'm doing. So that just went by the wayside. But things find a way of coming back into your life.
Yes.
So on YouTube, gotta love YouTube. I started watching Graham Stephan. He's like the finance guy, and he's kind of funny, sorta sometimes. So I was like, well, I need to learn more about finances, and he's kind of funny. So let's watch him. Well, Ryan Pineda, he ended up being on there, and I was like, I follow people, not necessarily like he could have been like, I farm sea monkeys, and I'm like, I think I want to learn to also farm sea monkeys. I like you, and let's farm some sea monkeys, guys. So, so he just happened to be in real estate. I like that
Okay.
he, his wife and his kids, and he took out time for them, because I was like, I don't want to work and work and work and miss the rest of my kids' lives while they're at
Right.
home. So I started following him, and I talked to my husband. I was like, hey, he does real estate. And we're like, oh, maybe we can figure that out. And then about that time, we got a little mailer from Open Door. And this was at the time when they were just paying obscene amounts of money for houses that were not worth that.
Right.
So we ended up profiting like $135,000 off our house that we had for 2 years. So we don't have to pay any capital gains taxes on any of it. And so we're like, let's just start a new life.
Right.
So we invested like 25 grand into Ryan's mastermind. Like that was not like, oh, no, I was like, this is terrifying. Like this is like
Right.
half of my business income. We live in Tennessee. It's pretty low cost of living here. So like $50,000 was like my business income. I'm just going to swipe a credit card, take my money. I know not what I'm doing. Um, so we did that, jumped all in, like feet first, acquired 2 properties really quickly, and just like hit the ground running. So
That's amazing.
that's how we got into it.
That is amazing. That, it's funny because I think for most of us, or not for a lot of people, you just think about the idea of what you want to do and you end up doing nothing with it because there's so much thought that goes into it, and I'm guilty of that, like I this year I said my brother and I were going to team up and we're trying to get into real estate. And you second guess yourself, and you put all these blockages in front of yourself, and sometimes you just have to go and do it and don't think about the things that could go wrong because you'll talk yourself out of it, So it's amazing that you were able to just go with it and trust somebody, and get the mentorship that you need to be able to be successful. And so why Ryan? Like because YouTube Academy has so many people and so many people are advertising their real estate, course. Why him? What was it about him that attracted you?
So of course you want someone that's knowledgeable. Yes. But you also want someone that's trustworthy. And like one of my very chorused values, I don't think it's a word, but I'm going to use it, is integrity, just like telling the truth, being honest, just like that. Like if I find out someone's a liar, I will blacklist them.
Oh my God, I love you already. I am the same way and I get crap for it. Because,
why?
Because people think, people should get second chances or
this is lying.
Exactly. That's my thing. I had this conversation with a relative and she does real estate stuff. And, one of her foreman wasn't doing what he's supposed to be doing. And she said, he's great at what he does. Right. So she keeps him because he's amazing at what he does. And for me, I just felt like, well, maybe I'm just a different type of boss because to me, just the fact that you lie to me, I have an issue with that and I will fire you on the spot because I feel like we could have a conversation, right? Like you're trying to come up. We're all trying to better our lives. If we can have a conversation about it, then awesome. But if you're going to go behind my back and lie to me and do something that I have such a big issue, but I haven't encountered anybody in business that thinks like that. So I feel like, maybe I'm too harsh, but I'm glad to hear that there's people out there that feel the same way. So thank you for
me and my husband, we're the same way. We actually had my husband had this conversation with our previous contractor. That's what happened. As he said, and because we're noobs, we don't know what the heck we're doing. So he's like, I ordered the windows, which I knew windows take forever to get there. So I'm like, first thing, order the windows. Well, 8 weeks later, there's no windows there. And I'm like, what's the deal with the windows? And he's like, oh yeah, they're even longer and longer. I'm like, I'm going to talk to my other friends. Hey guys, are you also having longer window lead times and stuff like? No, about 6 to 8 weeks. I'm like 6 to 8. Oh my gosh. Like, so my husband, and like he did a bunch of other stuff that was ridiculous, but my husband went and talked to him and he's like, dude, you lied to us about the windows. And the guy, he says, I'm just like, how can you let these words come out of your mouth? He goes, I only lied once.
Well, if you did it once, what does that mean?
My husband's like, so you admit to lying? And he's like, it's only once. And he's like, you're fired.
I love it. So what did he say after you? So did you literally say like, okay, you're fired?
Yeah.
And what did he say?
He was upset. He was like, well, you're ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. And my husband's like, you need to get off my property.
That's amazing. Oh my God. I wish I could have been there for that. You should have recorded that for sure.
Oh
Oh
man,
my gosh.
dude, last year at this time, like I was not the same person. I couldn't have that conversation with him. Like my husband had to go have it because I would have literally, I don't know, probably broken out in tears. Like, how can you do this to me? Like now, like, man, I've put myself into so many situations. Literally, all I do is have difficult conversations.
Hmm.
And it's like, you got a difficult conversation? I can do it. Like,
So what changed for you from last year to this year? What was the turning point?
so there's a few things. So, one, like in September when I went to the mastermind, I had joined the mastermind June, like mid June, and like I just love people, so I literally networked with, I want to say, every single person in in the mastermind,
Wow.
which was like a lot of people, like
Yeah.
100, 200, I don't know,
I
a
was
lot.
going to say there had to be at least 100 people. That's insane.
There was
Over a
like,
course of 3 days?
oh no, no, no. I mean, so we had like a list of people, like student role, I guess. And
Mm-hmm.
so in July or June I joined, and then all the way up until September, before the event happened. So like this is like a training program for a whole year subscription. And so then in September, like I would want to say 75% of the people that were there, like I knew them. Like
That's awesome.
I think if you really like people, and like you're gonna remember stuff about them. So like I knew them. I was like, you, like, and your kids and da, da, da. And my husband's just like, how the hell do you remember all this stuff? Like I was like, well, you don't care, I do, so that's why. But like
And
I
you have a
put,
good memory too, because
yeah.
I will remember people's faces,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
ask me your name, I'm the worst. I'm the worst. My best friend's girlfriend, I called her C, the letter C, for like 6 months because I couldn't get her name. I said everything else but her name. It was
Oh
hilarious.
no.
Yes, it was. It's bad. It's bad.
Well, there are tricks. There are tricks that like I've read books on this too, of like how to remember stuff. So like
Oh.
if you want tricks and tips on how to do that, I can help you.
Oh, you have to tell me. You have to share the books names. It's funny because that's how the first time I heard about you was from a recommendation of a book that you shared with me, Soundtracks.
Oh yeah, yeah. Did you read it?
Yes, I loved it. It was a great book. Yeah, and I really, really loved it. So thank you so much for sharing. But that's how I learned about you for the very first time.
Awesome. Yeah,
So
I'm a bookworm. Here's a bunch of my books. My favorite ones, the ones I read more than once, get to make it up there.
nice. That's
um,
awesome.
but yeah, I think I went off on it. I don't think I fully answered whatever we were talking about.
I don't even remember
don't
what the
know.
question was. And so don't worry. Don't worry.
Okay, good.
But going back to real estate, when you just started, did you have any obstacles when starting, like at all?
Yeah. So whenever we did join that mastermind, and oh yeah, I remember I was networking with all the humans. Yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
there you
So
go. There it is.
okay, we networked with the humans. Um, but whenever I joined the mastermind, Brian Davila, like he's the COO, he was doing a lot of the coaching and stuff like that. And my first obstacle, because remember, back then I was like very easy to cry.
Oh, no.
So I get on this Zoom call. Like I want to say it's like the third Zoom call that I've ever been on. And so like I'm in like the all-star program, but then I'm like also on the rookie calls because I'm like, I don't know anything. So I joined like the super experienced people thing because I'm like, I'm gonna be around them because I'm gonna learn how they talk. I'm gonna zip it and I'm just gonna listen, and then I'm gonna start saying what they say, and then I'm gonna get to where they are. That was the plan. But that being said, I went through the course in like 3 days. That's what I did in 3 days. And then I'm like on this Zoom call and I'm like, hey, just got this property under contract. And Brian's like, let's pull it up. And I'm like, oh God, like we're pulling me up in front of the class already. Like, okay. So my assessment of the property was it's a light rehab. It's a light rehab. And I don't know, maybe $25,000 about that. And so he's like pulling it up and he's definitely got, and he knows all this. So it's totally fine that I'm sharing this. So it's more funny.
You're like, I'm not throwing him under the bus. I promise.
No, it all turns out great. Brian's awesome. I even wrote an article about how he saved my butt so much money. But so he pulled this up and he's just like, this is a terrible house. Like you should not flip this. And I'm like, no. I don't think you understand. I'm buying this one. I just need you to tell me what I need to do to make it work. I'm not asking you if I should buy it. It's happening. And he's just like, so what do you think this rehab should be? And I'm like, not too much, maybe $25,000. And it's like a light rehab. He's like, the floors, the windows, the doors, the walls, the ceiling. What is it that you're not having to do? And I'm like, I'm not entirely sure. I'm like, you're the teacher. I don't know. And like, there's another 30 people, I think, that are in the room. And they're just all like, because they're like newbies too. They're just like, oh my God, she's getting berated, right? And so it's like, bad idea, don't do it, da. And my now business partner, one of the flips, she's the sweetest thing. Carolina's like, well, I mean, I don't know, it could work out, and he's just like, no.
A night and day difference of opinion.
It was so funny. Well, she's like, I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. I'm just trying not to make you feel bad, And so I was like, it's all about the questions you ask. So I said, okay, I understand. I do not have your approval on buying this home. But if I were to buy the home, because I am, what price would I need to buy this home at to make it work? And he's like, you'd have to get it at like 45% of ARV. And I'm like, cool. I just need to know what to do. And I went back and I negotiated and I made it happen. And so like that, he's like, I've never seen anybody ever get a deal like that. He's like, especially not a rookie. So thank goodness he did that though. Like I was going to lock it up $32,000 too high.
Wow.
And like the rehab went crazy. Holding time went crazy. I only profited $7,500. So I would have been way
that bad. Is your first flip. That's still amazing, but it's great to have that person to guide you a little and hold your hand, especially when you don't know what you're doing. So that's amazing.
Yeah. So, he made me so mad, girl, that I was like, I'm going to make this thing happen. So it's like, that's perfect, Brian.
Sometimes that's all that we need, right? Just a little fire under behind to just make it happen. So, hey. So the obstacle first then was education, I'm guessing, like not knowing what you were doing.
Yeah.
But as far as the confidence to like talk people and like talk to the buyer, it seems like that was not there for you.
So the seller ended up being like an agent. And so she was an owner agent. So girl, it was like a nightmare deal. Like we ended up with some random dude that we didn't know from Zillow who didn't know what he was doing. And he was nice and I'm still in contact with him, but he would like, Kenny, don't hate me, but you did this. He was like, he forwarded me the email from this lady and was like, help ? And I'm like, I thought you were our agent. Like, how do you not know how to negotiate?
Oh no.
So I was like, just let me do this. So
you talked directly to the seller.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive because how I told you, I'm starting to get into real estate and that could be intimidating. So obviously you were in marketing, so it's a little bit maybe that part of you being able to just get the tools that you got from that.
It helped
part of yourself and just helping you. But for the people that don't, what would you say for them to help them on their first journey with real estate investing?
So I would watch a lot of live cold call from like Jerry Norton or RJ, I want to say Bates, like people like that. And you don't have to copy them, but you can watch them and you can see the crazy things they say, and people don't hang up. You're like, man, this is pretty wild. Like you're able to just say that, and they're not going to hang up on you for the, oh, I want $195,000 for my house. Okay, great. I can do 68. And they don't hang up. So I really think it's just like a matter of, first off, believing it's possible first. Then the next step is it's possible for me. So if you just try to step into the second step, a lot of times for people, that's not going to work. But if you at least first can say, is it possible? Yes. Great. Then, is it possible for me? I don't know. Got to make some phone calls. And so just fail forward. Like, okay. So this is literally how the first call that I ever made that was a cold call. I like set up like batch and like whatever else ridiculous, Twilio, I don't even know, all this stuff. And I managed to text some people some script that I found in Ryan's thing. And don't ever do this, but it was to my cell phone. That's so bad. Like you're going to get like lawsuits and stuff. Never use your cell phone.
Oh no. Yeah. Like literally your cell phone
my
number.
Cell phone.
Oh.
Yeah. So I can only send like a few texts because I was like, oh God, like what if people are like calling me or whatever? Yeah. Well, somebody called me and he was not happy. He was mad. He was like legit, like ready to draw blood from somebody. And it was me because here I am. So I picked up the phone. And he was like, hello, who are you? No. He was like, why do you think this house is for sale? And I'm like, I hung up. So if I could go from like literally last year, a little bit over a year from this time to now all day, like I'm like talking to sellers. That's what I'm doing. I'm talking to sellers. I'm coaching my team to talk to sellers. Like I'm de-escalating people like this guy. Why do you think my house is for sale? Blah, 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 blah. Like I can take that. I've taken people like that and put them in a contract within like 2-3 days.
That's amazing.
So it's like, you can grow. It's okay if you can't do it right now. Like build your confidence that it's possible first, and then build your confidence that it's possible for you. And don't worry if you're going to trip all over your words. Sometimes I make up words. Sometimes I stutter. Like, I don't know. It is what it is. It's just do it.
Right. Just get started, right? Yeah, no, I know. It's funny because for me, when I think about talking to people, English was not my first language. So I didn't learn English until I was 13, probably close to 14. So I'm still self-conscious about my speech, and sometimes my accent will come out, and like certain little words, like you could tell, like I'll have like the Hispanic accent to it. And, it gets in your mind and really stops you, So it's just like sometimes we're just so over evaluating ourselves, right? Just like too much. Just let it go and you'll be good. And to that, I want to bring out this video I saw on your channel not too long ago.
No.
I'll share it with you. No, I love that. But by the way, I have to tell you, I really, really love your page. And whenever your content comes up, I really enjoy it because it's so pure, like it's so honest. It comes across, it's very lively. So I just want to say thank you for that. But I want to share this because I thought it was beautifully worded, and I just want to share this. So give me 1 second. Let me share this with you.
Y'all want to stay motivated? You got to start telling yourself a different story. And the truth is that story doesn't even have to be the truth. You could really suck right now, but if you tell yourself you're the best, you will start living up to that. You will start training so that you can be the best. And then before you know it, you will be the best. And you will be doing things you never freaking would have believed you could have done. So go train today, get better, do it.
I love that.
Thank you.
It's so true, though, and it's funny because I've never thought about it that way. Where did you get this? Or what book did you read that made you share this information?
It was probably a mishmash of all the very many books that I've read and just pure, like, my transformation again. Because, girl, I've done this before. Like, I've had 4 kids. I've lost weight, gained weight, got fit, done bikini contests in Mexico. Like, I've done, like, I feel like I've been like 5,000 people. Like, I really, it's like my core of like, don't lie, be good to other people. That's pretty much the only thing that's stayed the same. But that I feel like that I have a group of friends. We do book club. And since last November, we've read, I want to say 7 books together. And they're all personal development books. And like, man, those chicks are bad to the bone. And and we just motivate each other and inspire each other. And like, whenever they're like, hey, whenever you drop these videos, like, you get me fired up. So like, I had in my head, whenever I was recording that, I was like Livy or Vivian or Carolina, like, they're going to be watching it and they're going to be like cheering me on. And so like they weren't there, but I was like thinking about it, and it's like feeding off their energy. And I was like, what would I tell them? Because like, somebody out there might be feeling down. Like, I'm so honored that I get messages, and not a lot, hopefully more soon, but I get messages where people are like, hey, I saw your video, and like, today I wasn't even going to like get up and do anything. And I went and I like walked for the first time in like 6 months.
Wow.
And I'm going to do it every day from now on. And I'm just like, hell yeah.
Yes, I love it. The power of social media. There it is.
Yeah. Who says social media is bad?
It's bad. It's bad in a good way. Bad in a good way. But it's amazing because, I live in Orange County, California. So we're like worlds apart, right? And we got to connect because of social media, and you're inspiring people across the nation, probably maybe worldwide. You never know, because of social media. So I thought that was beautiful. And going back to the reel I shared, I thought it was very beautiful and spot on. Sometimes, the fake it till you make it mentality will get you through whatever it is that you need to get through. And people don't believe in it. And I think it's sometimes we should don't think about it. Just go all in and go on your superpower pose and just do it, and use all the little tools that you have around you to get stuff done. So I don't know. That's just my thought on that. But I thought it was very beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. And like I've never loved that saying, but I love like the thought behind it. Like, I know like what people mean by it. But like, since I'm a copywriter, I'm like, let's tweak it just a little bit so that like people, because like some people are like, I don't want to be fake. And I'm like, okay, so how can we communicate to these people so that they can still use this tool? So I don't think of it as so much as faking it. I think of it as forecasting. So who are you going to be? Okay, well, have you ever made a cake or anything? Like, you got to get the ingredients together,
Right.
So what are those ingredients? Once you start being this, being that, you're mixing it together, then you're becoming that person. So like, you're not faking it, you're forecasting it, and you're becoming that person. You're literally homegrown.
Organic.
Yes, exactly.
That's amazing. And I know that you post a lot about weight loss and losing weight. What is your number one reason why you started on the journey of weight loss? Or is it, I know that you mentioned that you've done bikini contests before. Why did you gain the weight and now are trying to shed it off? Or actually shed it off already. So
Yeah. So this time was the only time that I gained weight when I didn't have a kid. Like the other times, one of the times that I had a kid, I didn't actually gain any weight. I like worked out the whole pregnancy. So that time didn't even do that. But this time, like honestly, I diluted myself. I started being quieter. Like my dad went through a really hard time. He lived with us for about a year and a half, and I was like at the doctors with him. I went through a whole year where I had, or maybe a year and a half, where I had extreme anxiety, where I would have to pull over to the side of the road and would literally shake. And
oh my
just
goodness, I'm
like
sorry.
the rain, oh my gosh, like the rain would come, I would be freaking out. Like, because we RV'd for 2.5 years and we almost got blown away a few times. So,
Oh, wow.
so I was just like traumatized from that. And like, it would be raining, like, oh, look at the beautiful rain. My body would say, you're going to die. And so I'm like, oh my God, I'm like hyperventilating. Like I felt like I had like an elephant sitting on my chest. And like
Wow.
I started putting on weight. I went through like other health challenges and I was just super miserable. And I was like consoling myself with food. Like, yeah, that was great. I think I should have a double dose.
Right. Well, because it makes you feel great
yeah.
too in your mind. So yeah.
Yeah. So that, like, there was a lot of that. And then my husband, like, we both blew up together. So I was like, wow, we getting large and in charge over here. So yeah, whenever I went to Vegas, to the mastermind, oh yeah, that was kind of what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about me talking to all the people. So I talked to, we're bringing it full circle for anybody that was concerned about the story I didn't finish. Thank you for sticking in there. So like I went there and like the core values to Ryan's mastermind are things like, play well with others, train every day, like integrity, like all those kind of things that I really like. Well,
Right.
I'm a newbie there. I knew a lot of people, but they started like giving awards out. Never done anything in real estate except for like I bought 2 houses. Okay. So my husband is sitting there and I'm like, I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. He's like, no, you'd better not. They're about to give her awards. And I was like, it's okay. I will applaud them whenever I get back. And he's like, no, you're going to get an award. And I was like, I've been here 90 days. I have done nothing. I'm not getting any awards. And he's like, just stay. It's going to be really embarrassing if you're in the bathroom. And I'm like, whatever, you're ridiculous, but okay, I'll stay. Yeah, well, there's like, 2% women in a real estate conference. And they're like, and this woman like embodies our core values. She's always helping everybody. And I'm like, oh my God.
How did you know?
Yeah. Well, my husband's like, you always win everything. If there's an award to win, if there's a prize to win, I do. I don't know. I'm very lucky. But I was like, oh my God. Because I was like, I just want to go to the bathroom. Like now I'm going to have to walk on stage and I have to, what the heck? Like, so like Ryan and Roham was my coach at the time and Ryan, they're like, Jessica, come up. And everybody's like, yay. Because they knew me. And I was like super cool because they knew me and I knew them and they were cheering for me. So I went up there and I'm just like the whole time thinking, I really got to pee.
I'm sorry. I'm enjoying this, but I really have to. Can we just speed it up?
I know. That's literally what I was thinking. I'm like, this is my worst nightmare. I'm in front of 700 people, 75% of them that I know, and I am going to pee myself right here.
Oh my gosh.
So that's what I was thinking. And then Ryan's like, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but would you like, I want you to say a couple words. And I'm like, of course you do.
Oh, great.
Don't you now? And I remember saying, well, my piece of advice is that I would say that you should really learn how to like people, because if you like people, real estate will be a lot easier. And he's like, oh, cool. And I'm like, can I go now? So it was so nice. It like warmed my heart. But yeah, that was the time, like Carolina was there. Like we didn't know each other very well, but she filmed me and gave me that video. And then I saw myself and I was like, oh my God, I'm shaking when I go, look at this, like, I'm like, my fat is jiggling. What is happening? So yeah.
Got it. Oh my gosh. So that was the realization point where you're like, oh no, I have to do something.
Yeah. I'm like, I want to be hot. I don't want to be the freaking jiggly marshmallow lady. So yeah, after that, I came home, I started eating a little bit better. And then I met this lady, Daniela, and her husband, Zach, is a fitness coach. So Zach was like, hey, totally can help you. So we dropped a bunch of money because he's not cheap. You're worth it, but not, he's going to watch this, of course, but he's worth it, but he's not cheap. So I'm like, if you want to have a very big reason to actually do your workouts, pay good money to get your nutrition and to get your workouts done. Because I have missed no workouts and I am always on my macros because I'm like, if I'm paying for this, like I'm not going to be paying to not get results.
Right.
So
that's amazing. And I think you very much downplayed that award by the way. I feel like
where is
that is a lot. Oh.
Yeah, look how cute it is. My son. My son has broke it down to say that it says All-Star Mastermind Q3 All-Star Award. So I'm like, yay. And I've smudged it all up now, but yeah, it's so nice. My now 11-year-old is like, Mommy got this award because she's the nicest person in the whole room.
So
I was
cute.
like, close enough.
Yeah.
that sounds much about right.
But that's amazing, because so I've been in the program with Ryan maybe 3 months now, I want to say. Kind of fell off on the first 4 weeks. And then I started over again. But it's a lot, it's scary. It's scary to go out there and start making those calls. And, you were able to get a deal and it was a bad deal and you still made it work. And you went out there and just like, oh, okay, I'm supposed to be here. Okay, no problem. We'll talk to the seller and just get them down to where, that is not normally what happens, So I want to say, don't downplay yourself because that is hard. And for those people out there doing real estate investing and doing the calls and doing the work, you guys know that it's not as easy as she just made it seem. For those of you that don't know, it's not as easy as she makes it seem. So
for real,
you should be proud of yourself because it's more challenging than that. And you're making it seem like it's cake, but it's a lot. It's a lot.
Well,
so
I think the thing I was most proud of, it's hilarious because I think you probably see them like on Duolingo learning Spanish. And so I'm like, I'm going to be prepared. When somebody can't speak English, I'm going to be prepared. So I'm like on the dialer and this guy answered and I was like, oh man, I was like, oh crap. I was like, I was like, oh no, like, what do I do? Do I try to like say this? I'm like, I'm not that good. I'm like, ¿tú hablas inglés? And he's like, and I was like, oh no. And I was like, okay, what am I going to say to him? I was like, well, I want to buy his house. Let's just say that. It's not super fancy. And I'm like, yo quiero, comprar tu casa. And he's like, he's like, what do you say? He's like, yo no vivo en una casa, pero en apartamento. And I was like, oh my God, he lives in an apartment. I understood that. Like, I was so excited. I was like,
that is awesome.
I was like, oh, gracias, lo siento. I was like, hasta luego. He's like, okay.
You are a baddie. Oh my gosh. It's funny because I was doing call calling yesterday and I speak Spanish. I grew up speaking Spanish. However, I've been here since 1999 and I don't use Spanish all the time. So, you don't use it, you lose it. But I got a call and like immediate fear. This guy, I could hear it in his voice that he was going to speak Spanish, So I'm like trying to translate the script to Spanish and I'm freaking out, and you're over here, you don't know Spanish and you're making it happen.
Oh, like,
and that's the difference. Yeah. And that's the difference between, doers and the people that are stuck. You perfect example. You're just doing it. And that's amazing. Wow. I wish you lived closer because
I didn't get the house, but I gave it my shot, so that's all you can do.
Exactly. Wow. That's amazing. And I'm like, psh. Sorry. I'm like, you're going to have a stalker with me. I'm just going to be watching your every move. Like, how can I learn from Jessica? I need to be just like her. No, seriously, you're amazing. You're amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So tell me, in entrepreneurship, right? What has been something like a bad advice that somebody, like the worst advice that somebody has ever given you in entrepreneurship?
Oh, goodness. There's so much to choose from. Oh, there's so much.
You're like, can I just make a list?
Yeah. So, okay. So here's one that I adopt slightly, but I think people take it too far. So once upon a time, whenever I was in network marketing, my mentors told me that if someone does not support my business, that I should delete them out of my phone.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm like, what? They didn't lie. Like, that's what calls for deletion, not buying a box of coffee. But yeah, like they were like, you don't need that negativity in your life. Like, I'm like, so I believe that there are some people that purposefully try to pull you down, and you have to either totally get them out of your life or limit their exposure. But I don't think that you should cut people out of your life if they don't do what you want them to do, like buying some product or joining a business. Like, come on. So,
right.
Like, that's ridiculous. Very much in the same vein is like, stick with the script. Always stick with the script. Always stick with the script. The script is proven. It's like,
right.
Yes. And people are human. So they're going to have responses that are not in the script.
Right. And if you stick to the script, you're going to be lost.
They're like, what are you talking about? I asked you how long you've been in business. And you're like, and what's the age of the roof? Is it shingle or metal?
That's it's funny because my brother and I were role playing doing the script, right? And I said something that obviously wasn't on the script because I'm like testing him to see, think on your feet, right? Because he's not a people person, and he needs a little bit of work with talking and just developing the speech. So I'm like, I'm just gonna throw him a ball curve, and see how he does. He was like, "Where's that on the script? How am I supposed? What am I supposed?" And that's exactly where my mind went right now. But it's just like, it's true. It's like you have to be able to think on your feet, and just remembering that the other person that's on the other line, it's another human. Sometimes we get so like in our heads about, okay, this is what we need to say. It's just like, no, you're talking to another human. Just be a human.
Yeah. And people are usually pretty cool if you're just like, you know what? I'm pretty new. I do not know that, but I can find the answer.
Ooh, I love that. And I think it's also thinking ourselves thinking like, oh, okay, no, we have to
Yeah.
pretend to be
We
the
got to be the
best.
experts.
Yeah. We have to be the experts, right? And and we can't come across as being the newbie, or, you know, because somehow that's going to, I don't know. I don't know what the mentality behind that is, but somehow it's going to affect us and not make us seem like we're this perfect together person. So,
Yeah, well, you can borrow credibility. So like that's what I always do. Like whenever I'm like making offers to these people when I first got started, I'm like, I have the best mentor, and he's going to be able to, once I tell him whatever you just said, he's going to tell me whether you're lying or not. Like so
I love
I
that.
don't know if what you're saying is right. I don't understand when an appraisal happens, when the inspection happens. I don't know what above and below grade or whatever all that means, but I'm going to find out. Like, so best believe.
That's amazing. And that's so true. Why do you think people do that though? Why do you think we feel the need to come across like an expert, or like that we know it all?
I personally think it's because of like our self-worth issues. So it's like, oh man, like what if they see me and I'm not perfect? And like, oh no, like they might not like me. I mean, even like with my stuff, like, oh God, I'm like, oh, they'll be a tool worker. Like, like a freak now in the entrepreneur space. So it's like all that stuff, it doesn't necessarily go away. You know, they talk about imposter syndrome and like, oh my gosh, like some people, they're like, hey, I'm making $10 million a year and I still feel like an imposter. And it's like, what the heck? Like, I don't want to live with that forever. Like,
Oh my gosh.
so it, like for me, the way that I got around it is I just started saying in my head is that people love me for my imperfection. I'm a weirdo and I'm going to find my own weirdos, you know? Other people can go somewhere else.
But that takes a lot of self-love,
Yeah.
you know, and I think sometimes we don't have that. We're not in a space where we have that for ourselves. So how can we give that out when we don't have it for ourselves? But it's beautiful that you're aware of it and you know what you need to do for yourself. So what led you to be so kind and aware of yourself?
Well, it's a recent development. Yeah, all this stuff, man. I don't know how much I've shared on Instagram and stuff, but like as a kid, like it wasn't my parents or anything or family, but like I was abused as a kid. Like my innocence robbed from like 3 years old, 6 years old. I'm like, good Lord, like this is a serial occurrence, like different people. And it's like, what's going on? So like, I felt like something was wrong with me. I felt like I was bringing this upon myself. And I'm like, you're a child. Like, what the heck are you doing? Nothing. So like all this stuff, like, I went through bad relationships. Like I got married young. I had a kid young. I got divorced young. So like, before I was 18, I had lived a full life.
Wow.
But like all this stuff, you know, it makes you feel like bad about yourself and like you're used goods and the old broken down tire on a back of a busted Chevy. You don't even get to be the truck. You're the tire on the back. So it's like all this stuff, but like I remember I started just reading books, like, you know, books on like abundance now. And like, I was obsessed with not being poor because like my family was super broke and like, I never felt it whenever I was a kid, besides for the fact that I was like, I'm going to go earn my own money. But like in that, like I developed a sense of like, independence, but I still didn't have like love for myself. So it was always just like trying to like win people's love. And like for the longest time in the beginning of our marriage, like to my husband, like I was always waiting for him to leave or I was going to leave first Like, oh, I'm going to get him before he gets me. He's like, what the heck? I'm not trying to leave. Like, poor guy. He's very tough. But like
Oh.
all this stuff that you're going through, but like I had to read so many books, and honestly, since November, like those ladies I was talking about, 2 of them are actually in California, in Los Angeles.
Oh.
I got to introduce you guys. They are so
Yes,
awesome.
definitely.
But like having these women that I super look up to, and I'm like, these are my crew. Like, I can't possibly be too screwed up. These are my friends. Like these are my peers, and like COO, a boss lady that's like growing her career and like doing some crazy stuff that's just amazing, and a program director of a mastermind. And I was like, I gotta level up. Like I can't be like this person that's like broken and whatever. So I started seeing myself as like that reel that I was talking about, like see yourself as that person that's full and that person that loves themselves and has confidence. And then everything changes. That soundtrack book, I use that that little checklist. Here are 10 things that I know. Today is brand new and tomorrow is too. I've got to give birth giving. Everything's always working out for me. I say it every morning and every night now. And like it's a mantra in my head over and over and over again. And whenever I have like it was scary to me to like I kind of pushed my boss to like move up my timeline of getting this job, like the promotion. And he doesn't mind if I share this, because he was like, we'll start you in Q4. And I was like, I don't want to say anything. Like, I want to get started now. Like, things need to be fixed now. And I was like, you have a gift worth giving. I'm like, I do. And, and so I was like, is there any particular reason that you would like to wait until Q4 to grow your business? And he's like, that is a great question. I have no idea. There is no reason to want to wait to grow my business. And so it's like, that was Thursday and I started Monday. So
Nice.
But I wouldn't do that before.
But it's beautiful. And by the way, thank you so much for sharing that. That's, very, very personal. And I'm sorry that you had to go through that. It's a very unfortunate situation. And I feel like the people that have the hardest lives have the best outlook on life, and because you've been through rough patches, right? And you see that the problems that we have ahead are not that bad.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry you had to go through that, but I think I am a believer that everything in our lives shapes us and are there for a reason. And something like that sometimes feels like there is no reason for it to have happened. But ultimately it made you grow into this person, this version of yourself. And it had to happen that way. Unfortunately, it had to happen that way, but there's a reason. And I've gone through many things in my life as well. And I just take them as that, they're there to teach me and for me to be a better person and to help maybe somebody else that is going through the same thing,
Yep.
So thank you for sharing that. And I'm sorry that you had to go through that.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
But
It used to be like such a sore topic. And I used to actually be really mad at my parents. Like, like how could, like, they were like super overprotective and like, no dyeing your hair, no makeup, no earrings. And I'm like, and this is what happens. Like, come on. Like, can we like focus on
that
something?
protection.
I know. I was like, come on.
Right.
But then I was like, okay, well, think about this. You could have been born into a home that they didn't care. Like, they didn't care. Do whatever you want. Think whatever you want. Never see us. I don't care. And like, then the other stuff still could have happened to you. So like, literally you could have so much crap. It's like, you survive. You're all right. And now like, I watch my kids like in that, and I'm like, who's this creep? Like, but
you just have a different mentality after going through something like that.
it's like, there's just so much to look out for, but like my kids, they love people. So like, I never let it get to the point where I'm like keeping them away from people or whatever. They're just like me. They just want to talk to all the
Mm,
people and like know all about them and all that stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to like let my fears inhibit who they are. Um,
mm,
and what they want to do. So that's
right.
like, dude, I'm always checking myself. Like, and it used to be like a mean way, like, oh, you're ridiculous. And like, I would have just such negative thoughts, like, why are you like
Mm,
this? And just like, you're stupid. Like, no one's going to take you
mm,
seriously. And like, all of these things for forever, it was like, you're too young. And now it's like, oh, you're like middle aged now. And like, you're the middle-aged lady with the pink hair. Great. So it's like now I'm just like, I'm just me. I love people. And if they don't love me back, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's not for them. It just is what it is.
yeah. Just like we said at the beginning, it's just like you just have to either support it or not, but don't judge people because you've never walked a mile on their shoes, and they are where they are because that's where they need to be. So just support it, and especially if you're a loved one. Don't judge, just support. So, but yeah.
Yep.
um to end it, I actually want to go. I do a rapid round at the end. I ask you some questions. So you're in the fire right now.
I'm in the hot seat.
Hot seat. There we go. But yeah, whatever your advice are on those. So, I guess the first one is, what is one thing you wish you knew when you started in your journey?
Which journey?
I know, right? You're like, well, which
Like,
version of?
depends where I was
Um,
whenever I started.
well, I guess you tell me which all of them, I guess, because everybody, for all the people that are going to listen, right? They're going to be in various stages of their journey. So, whichever one you choose to share, or all of them, whatever. This is your seat. So,
So, for my entrepreneur friends specifically, I see a lot of people out there that are just super struggling to try to like get their own thing off the ground. And I mean, that's one way to do it. I've done it, and it's like, sure. But like, do not be afraid to go work for somebody. Like, you don't have to
mm,
stay there forever. Like, just because I'm loving it and want to stay there and build a company forever, or well, not forever. I plan on retiring at some point in my life. But like, like get a little humility, because I feel
mm,
like so many people, especially on Instagram, they're like, I'm 5 years old and like I have a Lamborghini, and I'm like, dude, I know you rented that. I know you. Like like some of you really do have your Lamborghinis, Amber. I see you. But it's like they feel like they have the expert thing. Like
mm,
they gotta already be there. It's like people, they don't want to just see people that have arrived. They actually want to go through the journey with you. So
mm.
don't be afraid to share the hard parts.
Right.
Like on our podcast, that Quest for Financial Freedom, like we're going through and like, hey, this is the raw and real. If we lost money, if literally whatever, like this is the journey. It ain't pretty all the time. So like, don't worry so much. The right people will love you for who you are. And how are people supposed to help you if they don't know you need help?
Mm.
You already got to figure it
That's
out.
Yeah, that's the funny thing, right? It's like we think we're saviors and we're doing it and we're showing but it's like, and then in the reality of it is we're not. And if you don't say, "Hey, I'm struggling with this," you're not there. Somebody can't help you if they don't know that you're struggling.
Yep.
So true. So true. So, and that's in your entrepreneur journey. So, what other journey you wish you knew something before you started that journey?
So I would say being a wife. Like I feel like That is a whole other thing. Oh my goodness. Cause like man, I was so mean. I was a bad wife. I mean,
Oh,
I was, let's see, he was like 19 when we
you were
met.
learning.
Yeah. Oh
You were
my
learning.
God. Yeah. Well, I would have broken up with me and thrown me in the trash.
Wow.
I was such a rough person. I was like super judgmental. I would argue over everything. Even if I didn't even know if I was right, I would argue. Why? Like, that's so frustrating. I'm like, that's so dumb. Like, why would you do that? I don't know. I was like, I have to be right. So, like, don't always have to be right. The biggest thing. So, I wish that I would have known whenever I got married. I wish that I would have been like in the beginning instead of a decade in, like, we are a team. The enemy is out there. We're not each other's enemies. It's us back to back fighting whatever the hell's out there. And then
So
this
true.
is a safe space, and we can disagree and we can fuss and we can not like how each other does things. But in the end, the goal is to always have the other person's back.
Right. That's beautiful. And it's true. A lot of couples, we are, I've heard this on some video. It just came up to my head. But when you're first trying to get that person, you let them be right. And then as soon as you're in that relationship, they're the enemy and they're no longer right. It's so true. Why do we do that? I don't understand why we do that.
Very weird.
But but it is true. We have to. This is our team. So well said. I know you've had many lives, but many journeys. But the most challenging project that you've worked on, what was it, and what did it teach you?
I'm the most challenging project I've ever worked on. Everything else is easy. You just do it. You find a person, you follow what they say to do as long as they've had a proven path. No problem. But getting your brain right and learning to get moving, that's the tough stuff. So everything else is easy. You can learn anything. Just got to get your head right.
I love that. What is the best piece of advice you've received as an entrepreneur and actually just as a human?
There are so many different things that I've like meshed together. But I mean, honestly, the thing that I've probably a little obviously taken to the extreme is just get into action. Like I remember, I don't even know who it was. Probably Alex Becker back in the day whenever I was learning the internet. That tells you anything. He's like a really crass dude. If you go look him up, he's like super rich off of this like ad software. And he's just like, his main market is like macho dudes. So he's always just like talking like he's talking to guys, but I don't know. I like it. And so he's just like, don't be a loser. Just do the thing and just do it. It's not that hard. Are you stupid? And I'm like, I love it. So like, just do the thing. You're smarter than you think you are, to eloquently fix up Alex messy language. Just do the thing. You're smarter than you think you are. You're going to learn, you're going to grow. Just get moving. That's honestly what I would tell anybody. Like the smallest steps, just like if you want to cold call, figure out what tools you want to use, pull the list that you want to pull, meet somebody else that's doing it, practice like you're doing with your brother. Like just do one thing a day to get it going.
Agreed. And so in the one piece of advice that you wish you would have taken, implemented in your journey sooner than you did?
Well, I'm an immediate action taker, so I ain't got nothing. If I think that it's a good piece of advice, I will literally, if I would be like, oh, okay, I got off the podcast, I learned something, I'm going to go do it right now. So I don't got nothing.
I love it. I love it. And that's the way we should be. But most of us are too afraid of failing. But how
Well,
can you fail if we haven't started?
the
So
5-second rule with Mel Robbins, that book, I use that one, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just do it because your brain will kill that idea. So I didn't even know that was what I was doing since I was a kid. And then like she laid out like all this psychology stuff. And I'm like, oh, well, yeah, it works.
nice. Thank you for letting us know of that book. Love it. And what is the most satisfying aspect of what you do?
Well, the other day, this one seller, he was just like, we had like a 2-hour long therapy session. That's really what we did. And I actually did want to be a therapist whenever I was a kid. And I
Mm.
had an advice column whenever I was 12, and like 500 people asked me advice and thought I was an adult. But this gentleman was like super terrified. Like he had a lot of motivation, like of why he wanted to get rid of the house, but he was just afraid to deal with it.
Mm.
And so I helped walk him through all that. And then it was like 30 days to close. So like for 30 days, I just helped him not freak out for until the transaction closed. And then like at the end, it was like the sweetest thing. He said, like, you saved my life. And like,
Oh.
I'm so grateful for that. And that just like made my, I would say day, but more like my year. So like being able to help people that, it's a lot learning how to sell real estate and deal with all that stuff. If you have tenants in place and you don't know what to do
Mm.
with them, how to help them find a new place and all that stuff, it's like literally you don't have to worry about anything. If you've had a family member that's passed, guess what? I can help you. I've had this stuff in my own life. I can walk you through it.
Mm.
You don't have to figure it out on your own. And just think about all the mental anguish that you can take off their plate. So
Mm.
like that's what I really love doing.
I love that. And if you had any message for like new entrepreneurs that are just getting started, what would that be?
So you're gonna fail, and it's okay. And if you don't fail, good job. So be prepared to fail, but if you don't, like, don't try to. Like, okay, I'm not even kidding. Like, I feel like I should give this disclaimer because sometimes people are just really good and they just get
Mm-hmm.
it really quick, and then they're like waiting to fail, and they're like, when is it gonna get me? Oh God. And they're like freaking themselves out. If you're doing good, just be happy that you're not one of the people that failed.
Right. That's amazing. Thank you. Oh my gosh, it has been amazing talking to you. Thank you for being so raw and real and such a human, and your energy is so vibrant. So thank you so much for sharing that with me today. It was a pleasure to have you. I hope everybody that was listening enjoyed this and got something from it. Thank you so much. And I will see you guys on the next one.
Thank you so much.